That like what's kind of your advice to people that want to take on that challenge of training with bigger people? I would put myself in this bucket. I do it, but I tend to do it when my body is really online. But you want to do more of it because that's the most useful skill. It's like, can I defend myself against someone who's bigger or stronger than me? So what's a good way to integrate that into your training to take those steps outside of your comfort zone, do it in a safe way, but also make your jiu-jitsu elevate?
Take the ability to become comfortable with whomever that person is that might make you feel uncomfortable to ask to roll. Have a conversation and say, "Hey, I want to roll with you, but I'm scared that you're going to hurt
Yeah.
me." Have that conversation. Be real with it. Like, I don't want to. I want to train tomorrow. I don't want to get hurt. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I want to understand how to roll with you so that I could get better. At the same time, I need you to know that I need to understand how you move. If I don't
Yeah.
understand how you move, I can't defend myself, and you're probably going to hurt me. And that's what I've done over the years. When I grab a guy who's huge, that's much bigger than me, I tell him straight up, I'm like, hey man, let's first learn how to train together, and then we can turn up the heat a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you just grab a big guy and he just does some craziness, then it's gonna hurt you. So the goal is that you learn that, and then the thing I suggest next is take the worst case scenario and put that big guy there. You know what I mean? Like, what's the
Yeah.
worst case scenario with a Luke Griffith? Like him mounting me? You know what I mean? Him starting in mount or on my back? Like, that's the worst case scenario. I want to start there. Like, let's just go
Right.
right to that. And not, of course, in a match, but if I were in training with him, that's where I would want him to go. I'd be like, hey, start there. I want to get out. If I can get out of that, then where else could you put me that makes me uncomfortable?
Yeah.
So I tend to do that a lot. We do a lot of specific rounds. I try to understand that jiu-jitsu is important to learn to train it like other sports train their respected sports. I feel like most jiu-jitsu players don't train jiu-jitsu like as if it was another sport, a soccer or a football or a basketball or you know baseball or whatever it is, that sport that's out there, that if you're a professional, those professionals, they show up and they do certain things in their sport that makes them better, and they evolve. They don't just show up and scrimmage each other every day. And I think in jiu-jitsu
So
that's all we
true.
do. We just show up and scrimmage every day, and I'm not saying this is what I do, because it's not. um, I don't show up and scrimmage every day, but I know that I need to show up and improve. If I don't improve on certain attributes and certain skills and certain positions and certain defense, certain offense, that you're just gonna stay tough. That's what happens in
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. A lot of guys just stay tough. They don't get good. They just stay tough. So
That's a mic drop moment. That's very true. It's funny when you think of another sport like yeah, like soccer. Think of how many hours soccer players spend doing dribbling, juggling, line drills, small team like 2-on-2, 1-on-1, all these little isolated scenarios where they're improving an aspect of the game, and then you go and you play on the field in the actual match. But that's an instrumental part of skill development. It's an instrumental part of becoming a better soccer player. There is not a day, probably in the last 35 years, that Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't juggled a soccer ball. Yet in the Jiu-Jitsu Academy, I think, and probably because you have a mix of people that want to compete, people that want to do IBA, JJF, they have aspirations of going to ADCC trials. Then you have hobbyists, right? And they're, unfortunately, in some cases, there for a workout, which isn't bad. It's good that they're pursuing their health in some way. But when that's the mixed bag, there's this pressure, I think, sometimes that the leaders in the academy will feel to let people spar
I
because drilling's not fun.
I
But
I,
drilling's the
I agree
best
with
part.
you. I agree 100% with you on that. But I also feel like it's a flawed system. I think most
Mm,
jiu-jitsu guys don't have that mindset. They don't
yeah.
have that thoughts. They don't have the skill sets. They don't think about it. How do most jiu-jitsu instructors become jiu-jitsu instructors? They,
Stick around long enough.
they
Yeah.
become the tough guy in the room,
Right.
and then they learn a couple. They got three or four good moves that they have, and then they do some studying on the side, and then their ascensions of teaching jiu-jitsu and teaching classes are what? Show up, warm up, do some drills, get some rolls, go home. That's a class. You know, that doesn't help. That will take you twice as long to get to where you want to be. You will
Right.
if you want to get good at jiu-jitsu, that's going to take you, you know, if it's let's say it's 10 years is the mark to get at a black belt. That's what happens. I think the mark at black belt, you see guys reach it in much lesser time. How do they do that? How do they get so good so fast? Well, some of them are doing certain things that maybe they don't even notice that they're doing, but those things are helping them evolve quicker. And I think if we as jiu-jitsu players took the sport and then understood that we can teach it better and we can understand how to make it better by doing certain things in the training for each, even the hobbyist. Like, if
Yeah.
think about what's better than a hobbyist becoming really good, you know, like that's it. That's the goal. You want every hobbyist in every gym to get really good, because
Right.
if the hobbyists are really good, the professionals are even better. You know,
For sure.
so that's the thing though. It's everybody's focused too much on drilling, but they're not focused on the most important part, which is separating everything that you need to learn and then isolating it and making sure that it's isolated in training, you know?